Hello and welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, the premier flagship and international podcast of LRM Online. I'm your host, Brandon Jones, and on this week's show, unfortunately, Jammer is out, but we've still got several lads here to talk to you about Doctor Strange. You guys ready to talk about some Doctor Strange today? You guys excited? Are you hyped to talk about the Multiverse of Madness?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Are we talking about
Let's
other
do
shit
it.
as well, or just that? Is this whole show just about multi-levels of madness doctors and shit?
Oh,
That's
no,
for the end.
it's going to be about this. Yeah, we're saving that for the end. I just wanted to assess your hypeness for Multiverse of Madness now that you've seen it. But we do have several news stories to talk about today. And we also got a bunch of trailers that we can discuss. So that's going to be kind of fun. Can I go off rails? Can I go off topic for a second?
Yeah.
I know Kyle's going to glare at me. Did you guys see the thing that happened with Dave Chappelle?
No,
No.
I read.
Nobody
someone's
saw it?
comment. No.
nobody saw. I read it. I read what happened, but I don't know any more than.
There's video of it. Oh yeah, of course there's video of it too, right?
Yeah, there's video. Well, and so it's weird because you say, of course, there's video of it. Cell phones were not allowed at this venue. So Dave Chappelle was doing a comedy set at the Netflix as a joke.
But I assume they were
show,
recording it for a
and
show
he
or something.
did it. And no, this is like somebody's, I guess someone else got a cell phone in there and given what we know about what happened. Makes total sense. So Dave Chappelle was on stage doing a show, and during some joke, an individual leapt up on stage and tried to tackle him. And this is just within the last 2 days. And the thing that actually could have made it worse, it appears that this individual had a weapon on him, to include a knife. And it could have ended up way worse than it did. This individual was grabbed off stage by none other than Jamie Foxx.
Really?
Yeah. And
Don't fuck with Jamie Foxx. Jesus.
man. So him, security, and a bunch of other people tuned this guy up. He looked like something out of a Sam Raimi movie at the end, like his arms were bent and twisted sideways. And I thought it was interesting. The reason why I brought it up, I was curious if I could take a couple of minutes of your time. A lot of the discussion surrounding this incident, we talked about the Will Smith incident a little bit on this show. And I was curious because it's fascinating that Chris Rock happened to be at this show. And he said on stage, was that Will Smith? The guy that attacked Dave Chappelle. And I was going to ask you all, do you all think that there is a relation between those two incidents, that somehow what Will Smith did at the Oscars gave this individual, let's say, the liquid courage to do what they did here? And I know it kind of sucks because I'm ambushing you all with this. In my head, I assume that you all had seen or heard this.
I'll go with an initial reaction without knowing anything other than pretty much what you just told me. I would think that he did see his 5 minutes of fame because of what happened at the Oscars, that there'll be more interest in a guy getting up on stage and having a go at a comedian. Because I'm sure that's happened many, many times to comedians throughout their careers, right? When they're playing backstreet bars and clubs and stuff like that. I'm sure there's been many, not just hecklers, but people throwing shit and getting up on stage. I'm pretty sure that I'd like to say that maybe there's a good chance that this guy thought he'd have his 5 minutes of fame if he did it, and it was Dave Chappelle, and there was probably TV cameras there and stuff like that. But we don't know anything about who he is at the moment, do we?
Isaiah Lee is his name. We do not know his motivations. We do know his name. His name is, I believe, Isaiah Lee. He's 23 years old. There is no motivation that we know of yet.
Because I'd hate to just like guess and assume anything to do with mental illness or anything like that, because that's just throwing shit out and guesswork and stuff. But 5 minutes of fame, it's an easy chance to get on TV kind of thing. But that's a flippant, off the cuff, based on what you just said, comment. I don't know anything more than that.
That's fair.
He figured he'd be allowed to go and sit back in his seat and just shout stuff and not be tackled. No, but I know so little about it. I agree with Danny to a point. I also wonder if it has to do with the Chappelle controversy in general. Like, this is one of the people who felt really upset by his past thing. The fact that he had a knife on him sounds like it was premeditated past, like, you know, not the Will Smith thing where he just gets up and punches him for a certain joke. But I don't know. I think people are getting crazier even without Will Smith doing it. So I don't know if I would see much relation between the two.
Okay. I think for my 2 cents, I split the baby. I think I probably lean more towards Nick's position. I think that people are self-radicalizing, or they are in groups where they're hearing people say things and making them feel like, yeah, Danny, that they can get their 5 minutes of fame. The premeditated part of it is the craziest part to me, right? So at least with Will Smith, we can give him the benefit of the doubt, the idea that his feelings were caused by what was happening on stage to him and his family in that particular moment, versus this guy who seems like he walked in with the intent to harm someone. One of the other things I think is interesting about this is, and I apologize, I didn't say this, to Nick, your point about some of the hate that Chappelle has incited, which we've talked about in the show, based on what some term basically transphobic views. His joke immediately after the fact was, it was a trans man. It is not. And so I think that that only does more to engender hate towards his position. And I find that to be an interesting joke, joke. He would term it a joke that he made after that.
I actually, if I were him and already saying stuff like that, I think that's exactly what I would say, because he has the controversy. He's not playing it down at all. And yeah, like I said, maybe part of the motivation was that he was offended in some way, this guy, by the previous specials done by Netflix. Maybe he was even a Netflix employee. But
yeah. We'll see.
One of the ones, I don't know, the walkout or whatever.
I'm fascinated by the story. I think it's interesting, and I think it's interesting mostly because of the things that we've said, like all of the different angles that you can come at, and then so we know what this individual's actual motivation is. We're all just spitballing. Yeah. We're all just kind of waiting to see what happens. So we'll see.
I will say, of all the actors, I was going to say of all the non-Marvel actors, but I guess he is a Marvel actor. Of all the actors to come at you when you're trying to attack someone, I would not want to mess with Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, no. He's a very funny guy, but he also seems like he doesn't fuck around about. He does not fuck about. So, yeah. Moving on to actual movie trailers, unless you guys have anything else to add.
I have a video to watch after this.
You have a video to watch after this. Okay.
Oh, the video you just talked about.
Yeah.
So I want to see pictures of the guy all broken.
I mean, he's on a stretcher. He's on an ambulance. You can hear people kind of like, ooh, you look. There's a little bit of that. So, yeah, we'll see. Starting with our movie trailers, we're going to move on to have a conversation about House of the Dragon. So this week, HBO was kind enough to drop us a trailer for their new Game of Thrones show. So 3 years after Game of Thrones closed up shop, we're getting to see a look inside the world of the Targaryens, and it's the new thing from HBO and George R.R. Martin. I'm done with this franchise. I don't hate it, but I'm not particularly interested. I do kind of feel bad because I like Matt Smith, who is featured prominently in this trailer. And it seems like between this and Morbius and Terminator, like he just cannot catch a break, right? Like I feel like
cut out of Star Wars.
Yeah,
that probably was a break.
His agent, like I don't know, man. I don't know. So I'm really curious what you guys thought of it, how you all feel about this franchise generally. Did this do anything to get you excited for more Game of Thrones?
As someone who didn't even finish the show, I always joke I stopped because that's when Pedro Pascal got killed, but I just didn't have any, I never liked it. I didn't like, there's so many storylines. You get like 5 minutes with each character a week. Really didn't dig it. Wasn't really that interested in the world, even though there's a lot of world building there. So I didn't even finish the trailer. I was like, yeah, it looks like Game of Thrones, something I quit a long time ago and have no interest revisiting.
Okay.
That's all.
It kind of sucks for the content of the show, but I'm with Nick and you on this. I'm really not that bothered by it. I never finished the show. At the time, I was I like binge watching this stuff. So whenever a season came out, I'd avoid it and then watch all 10 episodes in one go. And I was doing the same thing with this one. And then it came out and I could see and hear all the chat. And a lot of it was on LRM. And the disappointment ranging from mild disappointment to fucking outright hate of how it finished. I never even bothered watching the end. I thought, okay, well, now I know that does kind of suck. I don't care anymore. And then when the trailer popped up, it looks good. It's nice to have fantasy again, but I really don't care. And it's 400 years in the past. I don't know don't care. I really have.
So it's mostly Cam's fault that you didn't finish the original, right? Because I imagine he was probably one of the loudest ones.
He was. In fact, I think he was at the time. It was. And so even though I was watching the trailer and I don't care, that looks pretty. Oh, there's Matt Smith. And that's so funny that you said that, Jonesy, because my brother was watching at the same time. And he said, oh, he's in everything at the moment. I looked at him and I said, well, he's trying to be. Let's list the last four things. Terminator Salvation, a bit part. That never came about. Then Morbius, which is generally a load of shit. And then this one. Maybe he's the kiss of death. You sign him up, that show is not going to be a success. But the general consensus, other than us three here, is it seems to be great, fantastic. Cam likes the look of it and all that kind of stuff. But sorry, don't care for it. It's not going to be on the list. I've got a long list of shit I've got to watch, and I'm not even going to bother putting it on the list.
I'll go with Lord of the Rings as far as fantasy.
Oh, yeah. Let's see what. Yeah, exactly. I'll say what Cam says and what Kyle says, and anybody else that actually happens to watch it, and I'll trust their judgment on it.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah. Moving on.
Moving on.
Well, hold on. Wait,
moving on to something else I'm sure you all care about so much more. So this will be interesting. While it has not been released yet for general consumers, if you were fortunate enough to see Doctor Strange either in previews on Thursday or going forward into the weekend, you got to see a new trailer, or the only trailer that exists right now for Avatar 2, James Cameron's long gestating sequel, or one of many sequels forthcoming in this universe. I'm actually kind of curious if this flops, are they going to release the other ones? I don't know. Anyway,
he's only shooting 2, and then he's shooting 2 more, so they hadn't even started production except for pre-production on 4 and 5.
Right.
What about 3?
3, I think, is shot.
Man, okay, interesting.
Wow.
So we get to return to the world of the Na'vi. We get to see. It is a gorgeous world, right? Whatever you think of the story, whether you think it's Dances with Wolves or what have you, we get to see what came of a bunch of the characters from the first one. And we get to see a new Na'vi kind of coastal tribe, right? And it'll be interesting to see what they do in terms of the story. Like what older stories are they cribbing from this time if it's not going to be Dances with Wolves? And so I'm curious from you all, did you see this trailer? Because all three of us have seen Doctor Strange. What did you think about the first Avatar? And did this do anything to bring you back into the world and excited to see Avatar 2?
I was never excited about. The only reason I saw Avatar is people were like, someone was like, it's Jurassic Park meets Star Wars. It's like the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, well, I might as well try it. And, the whole world was going to see it. Like, it was huge. It was out for months and months. And the theater I worked at later was talking about it, how they would, for IMAX was sold out for months for the first Avatar. But I would never rewatch the first one. Didn't care that much. No interest in this unless we do it for the podcast, which I'm sure we will. And I really didn't think there was that much improvement with the special effects based on the old one. I expected to see a lot better, technology changes and stuff, but they're still dead in the eyes. Like the environment looks fake. Back then you're like, ooh, special effects. This time it just looks fake. So
well, you got to wait till you see it in 3D, Nick. Like that's going to be the game changer.
That's what's interesting. We haven't had a 3D release since COVID. Even though I made sure to watch for this in Doctor Strange. In the credits, they have a whole team that converted it to 3D still. Yeah, movies like Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
The IMAX poster I've got at my local says, and in real 3D, it's got it written on the bottom of the IMAX poster.
Maybe that'll be the beginning, because obviously James Cameron's going to be the director who's like, no, this one's fucking 3D. But I wonder why it died so much, because 3D glasses are all individually wrapped. It's not like it's a COVID thing.
I always thought
well, it's
it was to
increased
do with
expense.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I
what
thought
was
it was
that, Danny?
expensive with COVID to save some dollars, right?
Oh, the ticket prices, because they already convert, like I said, like there is a whole team that converted Doctor Strange for 3D.
Sure.
It's just never released in 3D.
And that cost is passed on to consumers.
Kyle
it looks
has
like
something.
Yeah, what you got, Kyle?
Hey, Nick. Yeah, they still do release most of these movies in 3D just because your theater's not showing it. Ours had Spider-Man in 3D, Doctor Strange in 3D. It might be a local thing, but yeah, I'd say check local listings.
Oh,
and
do your ticket prices reflect that?
Oh yeah. I mean, they still charge more for them. And also I sent it in Discord just in case you guys didn't see. According to Cameron, back in late last year, 2 fully in the can. We have a working cut that they're filling in, visual effects within. I feel pretty confident with that film. 3 is still a bit shadowy. It's way too long. I haven't really turned my energy into a disciplined cutting process on that yet. So he's in the act of cutting 3, it seems, as of late last year. Kyle out.
What does shadowy mean? Does that mean like it's too tall and it casts a long shadow, so we have to cut it down?
It's just Cameron gibberish. But the last thing I was gonna say was what Kyle wanted us to say before the show. Dead quiet even the beginning. No one gave a shit. Like, people reacted to the Thor trailer, and there were some other fun trailers on there. But dead quiet during the trailer for Avatar. Like, no reaction even when it started. No reaction when it was over.
I would be surprised because I've seen Doctor Strange twice now, and both times both times the cinema was full of relatively young people. And I know everyone's fucking young compared to me before some smart ass says anything, but what I meant was younger than kids' age. I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, if they didn't have a fucking clue what Avatar was at the end of the day. Oh, is this? Is it a sequel of something? Well, yeah, it was a film that came out 20 years ago that had groundbreaking special effects in 3D. It looked really good at the time, but now since then they've grown up with all the stuff that we've been enjoying watching for 20 years. And that trailer came on, and it just looked like a pretty looking.
It's only like 2009, right?
Kyle
2009.
Kyle says 10, so more like 13.
Well, it seems like 20 years ago.
Yeah, it came out when I was in Germany, so I was there 9 to 12, so it had to be 9 or 10.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I actually thought it came before I moved to here, but I genuinely think there was a lot of in the room. No idea what this is. It looks like a cartoon. Is this something that I should be interested in?
See, my audience was a lot older and like closer to my age, and no one.
So they would have remembered it, then they still had the same reaction. So that's just it. I think it's a lot of that looks pretty, but there's nothing special about it. What I will say is the underwater stuff looked pretty good from an animation point of view. It's always been tough to get hair and stuff correct underwater, right? And I seem to remember that Aquaman was pretty good.
Yeah, I like the Aquaman stuff better.
But this stuff looked pretty good, the underwater stuff, because that's what I was generally looking at, is how they do hair. And hair underwater is very challenging. But that was it. I wasn't fussed about the trailer. It looked all like the same shit to me. It looked exactly the same as the Avatar that I remember from what I thought was 20 years ago, but 10 years ago. Nothing made me think, oh, wow, I'll actually looking forward to watching this.
I mean, if anybody's going to get hair right, it has to be Aquaman, right? Because Jason Momoa's hair. Like, come on. You got to fucking do that.
They did a good job. I thought the Avatar, I thought the Aquaman did underwater better than this trailer, but.
Ooh, shots fired.
That would be pretty good. I do remember Aquaman being good, though. I do remember thinking that was a pretty good underwater stuff. So I'd be surprised. But there was nothing in the trailer that made me think, wow, they're groundbreaking or anything. Nothing that made me want this is going to be another $2 billion movie or anything.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that was the thing. I think it was you that said at the beginning, like, this is a tech demo, right? Like, that's what it was in the beginning. I'm sorry, Kyle. It's Kyle that said it. It's the beards. It's the beards that confuse me. So I think that's part of the problem. It was gorgeous to look at the time. Substantively, I don't think anybody thought that it was a remarkable story. And so the idea that we're going to revisit this world where it looked great, but the story was kind of naff. Now we have like, okay, it looks very similar to the first one. Have you improved on the thing that was the actual deficiency?
Looks like
So,
a very
we'll
similar
see.
plot based on the little footage we've seen.
Yep.
Yeah.
They got it. They still have a human base. It looks like we have some Na'vi who are either hired by the humans or the humans figured out how. But no, the humans already did avatars. So yeah, those are probably humans in avatars with the scene where they're like carrying guns and shit. But
I mean, that's probably Jake again.
Yep.
and that's the other thing. I couldn't tell if they were using the same characters or not. Mostly because there's no dialogue and they all look the
So
same.
for sure, you've got Zoe Saldana and
Sam Worthington has another job.
Yeah, Sam Worthington. Yeah, finally.
He is in a show I'm watching right now, but I'm like, oh, he's fallen a far way to be in a Hulu show.
So between the two of them, I don't know if anybody from the original is coming back. I could look it up, but I'm not going to.
Well,
I've
probably
heard
Sigourney.
Sigourney Weaver was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm
For
pretty sure
something,
she's coming
another
back.
character died.
Maybe
Because remember, she was like reborn as a full Na'vi or whatever.
Yeah. something like that.
She went full Navi. You never go full Navi.
You never go full Navi.
You go Oscar bait. You should never go full Navi.
Nick, did you give your thoughts and impressions on this? Did I skip over you? What do you
No.
feel things? No.
I gave my
Okay.
emotionless
ready to move on?
impressions.
Do you all want to move on to the thing I know you actually do care about?
Yeah.
Well, what did you think of Avatar? Did you tell us what you thought about Avatar?
I talked
I know you
about
were-
the trailer. I said it was like a tech demo, and I don't know why we're returning to something that nobody really cares about the story.
Yeah.
I kind of inserted it like very quickly, pulled it back in.
That's what she said.
Is that what the
I-
Vaseline was on the camera? Was it?
I think that's what it was because it looks slightly better. I need more lighting. I need more light. Yeah, that's it. That's it. The original Avatar, it was fine. Like, I already gave my thoughts. You
Moving
guys
on,
want to talk about Old Ben?
Yeah.
Old Ben is
Ben.
back.
Crazy old
Or
Ben.
actually, he's not Old Ben. Is he just Ben now?
Crazy
just
old
Ben.
hermit.
He's not Old Ben yet.
He's gonna age a lot in 10 years. I'll just say
Age a
that.
lot. And that's what
Tatooine, man.
living in the desert does, right?
Yeah.
3 fucking sons. We get
Two.
cancer from one son. Imagine
Two sons.
3.
There aren't
3 sons.
This is a hidden
2
son.
sons.
Yeah.
2 sons. Wait.
Unless there's a
what's 3
secret.
sons?
No, it's 2 sons. It's 2 for Tatooine.
I'm trying with 3
For
sons.
Tatooine, it's two sons. It's even the name of one of the pieces of music by John Williams.
You have Luke looking up at
Yeah,
them.
so.
It's in the name of the planet too. It's not Ta-3, it's Tattoo. Just saying.
My inability to count aside. 2 sons. 2
1,
sons.
a 2, a 3.
But Disney on May the 4th, may the 4th be with you, they dropped the Obi-Wan trailer. So we got to see what this 6-episode show is going to look like. And we got glimpses of a bunch of stuff. We got to see Inquisitors. We got to see Obi-Wan. We got to see Obi-Wan using a blaster, an uncivilized weapon
That's
for
what I
an
thought.
uncivilized age. We got to see glimpses of Darth Vader. And let me tell you guys, the way that they handled that tease, I really enjoyed. And again, per usual, I don't want to see anything else. I want to fucking watch the show.
That's
This
enough.
is all I need to see. The sickest burn to me in the whole fucking trailer was the conversation with Lars, though, where he's like, "Hey,
Oh,
you gotta train Luke." And
Bishop.
he's like you trained his father. Like, oh,
Yeah, I know.
god damn.
That was good.
That said, what did you guys think of this first, hopefully only teaser trailer for Obi-Wan?
Well, this is the
Certainly
second
won't be the
trailer.
last
It's the second one. It's the second
Is it
one.
the second one?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first one was even more teasery.
I
This one's
told you I
pretty
can't
teasery.
count. Stop trying to make me count.
Yeah,
Can't
Jonesy,
count
there's
two.
been 3.
Damn it.
I
What do
dug
you guys
it.
think?
I
Dug
like
it?
that they're keeping it. They're being. I mean, they're not giving away too much. I feel, which is nice. Like we're more getting glimpses at a lot of scenes. Yeah, I don't know. It looks good. I'm excited for it.
Okay.
I don't really. There's not really a lot in the trailer except for glimpses at stuff.
Yeah, there's
and
not a lot
and
of
great
new
burn.
stuff, is there? There was new scenes and new shots, but it was of the same characters and,
Same,
and
yeah.
things. There was
Same
only a couple of
Inquisitor.
new things, and one of
Same
which
chick
was
with a
the,
lightsaber.
Exactly. So I think that I'm definitely with Jones on this. You've got me. Fucking hell, take my money. Hurry up the end of the month. Let's get it on. I'm sure there will be another one. But I'm happy with this one we've got here. The bit that does stick out was the burn when he was talking to Lars, because you can see, I mean, Ewan McGregor does a wonderful job of, I've got nothing to say about that. If that is how that scene plays out, if that is his reaction, because we never know how it actually cut. But that was a perfect reaction. Yeah, that's a good point. But I really should get my coat. I should fuck off now. I've got nothing. Because that's it. What, like he trains his dad? You got nothing, dude. Yeah. So stay the fuck away from us.
I did notice there was some pretty cool hand-to-hand combat without any form of lightsaber or blaster in the trailer. Yeah. That was probably the most interesting part of the new trailer besides the burn.
And so you guys can tell me this. I don't recall seeing Obi-Wan use a lightsaber in this, right?
Not yet.
I like that we didn't get to see that.
He's trying to lay low as far as you walk around with a lightsaber. Suddenly everyone's like, oh, Jedi.
Yeah, I like that. I like it.
Yeah.
I hope that is accurate and it's really just being withheld until like the very last moment.
Yeah.
Yep. There was a couple of shots when they were talking about hiring bounty hunters and stuff, and maybe we can bring in young producer Kyle on this a little bit. There was one shot of a bounty hunter that I thought I've seen before, that I recognized, but I couldn't pinpoint the name. Perhaps it was just because she looks similar.
It's
I recognize it from Clone Wars.
It's from Empire Strikes Back. He shows up first. Forlom kind of has a fly head robot. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Forlom or Forlom, however one wants to pronounce it. They could be pulling an IG droid like they did in Mandalorian, where everyone thought that the IG unit was IG-88.
Yeah.
But this we'll see. But definitely at minimum a shout out to Forlom from Empire.
It did look similar. I knew I'd recognize him. So there you go, or her, him, her. Yeah, so that was cool. So that was something new I don't remember seeing in the first trailer, was glimpses of bounty hunters. That may have been definitely something brand new for trailer number 2. I don't recall number 1. But I mean, I'm sold. This is awesome. Bring it on. I love the fact it's only 6 episodes. I know we might want more, but as we just spoke about off show about the current season of Picard, Star Trek, that was dragged out. That could have been done in 6 episodes and been a lot more entertaining and concise. So I like the 6 episode thing. It means we're going to get some good episodes.
I have to throw this in because I had a conversation with Cam about this. He said he actually had a response for Lars, and it was, you took care of his grandmother. And I was like, God damn, that's fuck. Just Tatooine is heating up today. It's hot with his 3 sons. Yeah, I thought that was a really good response. So good on Cam for bringing it back. Like, because in truth, like, had Lars done the thing and actually took care of her, then, maybe no Vader.
A kid. He was just a kid. He was young.
So, anyway,
men.
What else? Anything else on this before we move on to the next thing?
No, just because I'm excited. Like you guys said, don't need to see much more. Watch an Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and I'm excited. How excited Ewan McGregor is. So,
when is it? End of the month? Is it end of May? It is, right?
25th, right? Or did they move it to 27th?
So we get 2 episodes on that Friday.
27th, 2 episodes.
So 5 weeks of Kenobi.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, because that's the day after. That's a super exciting weekend. I think I might grow a few more white hairs that weekend, because it's the day before that I'll be watching Top Gun Maverick on the 26th.
Are you gonna dress up? Are you gonna do the thing? Are you gonna let your beard get even whiter and like dress up as Obi-Wan? You gonna get a lightsaber?
No, I'm gonna dress up as Maverick and go to watch Top Gun. I'm gonna be.
If you're gonna dress up as Maverick, that means you have to shave. You gonna shave?
Damn it, Jonesy! You and your
clean shaven. Clean shaven.
Just as big muscles as Cruz, if not bigger. So
you could do the
little flight suit on.
Well, I keep gaining levels in Discord, so I could well be Scientology, Mr. Plankton, or whatever by then. Maybe I could be doing that then.
Did you say Mr. Plankton?
Whatever it is. I don't know. Whatever they believe in my spaceship to go and see Zool or whatever it is.
There is no Dana, only Zool. guys,
that's because she wears full navy. You see, we just completely circle around. That's what happens when you go full navy. You get turned into a dog.
Turned into a dog. You guys ready to move on to more news?
I think so.
I keep forgetting this is a visual medium. I've got this Starbucks topper in my mouth, chewing on it like
other coffee is available.
It is, but I like my dirty chai, and I do the dirty chai right. I like it.
I'm just making sure we don't upset any potential sponsors. That's all, by saying that there are other potential coffee houses, mainstream coffee houses available.
Yeah, just like there are other electric cars other than Tesla. Take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, and even though we all use Apple products and we love them so very much, there are other software hardware providers out there.
Allegedly.
Carl, no, you don't own an Apple.
Allegedly.
What's that? The stream seems to be going down. Those awful PCs just not capable of running the show anymore, I guess. Good luck, guys.
Sounds like you need a faster computer, but that's okay. There's a joke in there. I can't figure out what it is. Fast 10 has a new director. I'm sleepy. I was up till 2 a.m. So Fast 10 has a new director, and it's going to be Louis Leterrier, and he is known for The Incredible Hulk and Catch Me If You Can. And I'm sorry, not Catch Me If You Can. What is the other one?
Transporter. Doesn't he one of the Transporters?
Yes, but that's not what I was thinking of. It's the Magic movie. Catch Me If You Can.
Now You See Me.
Now You See Me.
I didn't know he
fucking
did that one.
Anyway,
yeah.
Clash of the Titans and Lupin, which is on Netflix right now. I enjoy that, and so if you enjoy any of those things, you might be into the new Fast and Furious. So we had a conversation in the last show where Justin Lin is like, "Hey, I'm out. I'm done with this fast shit. I want to go slow." Louis Leterrier is like, "I want to go fast." And so now he is the new director. It was costing Universal up to $1 million a day to replace him. And I think this is probably as good as they could get on short notice. Like I said, given the things that he has done before, this is somebody whose films that I generally enjoy. It took me a while. I only just realized that he didn't do the sequel to Clash of the Titans. So good on him, because the Wrath of the Titans is trash. So I know that you all don't really care about the Fast and Furious franchise. I know that, like I said, given the short notice that they had, this is an incredibly competent choice to go forward. I am curious how he's going to do in such short notice, if they're still going to be able to make their deadline. But what do you all think?
I think he's a good choice. I mean, I'm just thinking back to the Transporter. I don't know if he did more than one of them, but I enjoyed both. If there may have been a third, which I didn't see, but that kind of, especially, the car action and that, and dealing with Statham and all that, even though Statham's often two Hobbs, two Shaw. It'll be a good choice. I won't see the movie. Well, I guess if we cover it here, it'll be my third Fast and the Furious movie I've ever seen. But
Yeah,
I just like the part of the story about Vin Diesel. Like I kind of mentioned on one of our chats, he seems a lot like Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis considered himself the keeper of the Die Hard franchise, to a point where he drove directors crazy. And like, I feel like Vin Diesel's kind of that, where he's like, I'm the keeper of the franchise. Like, do what I say. Like, I'm more important than the director. That's just a theory, but it seems like, I mean, he loves the shit. It's his family. So that's all I got.
Yeah. I was just disappointed, just quickly, Jonesy, that he was one of the names that we didn't mention last week, considering we fired out about 50 possible names of directors, and then this one comes up. I'm like, oh yeah, that's not bad.
I even wouldn't have,
solid.
Even if he was in my mind as a potential, I knew that he's working on the next season of Lupin. So I didn't even think that he was available. Because remember, we had that conversation about, are we talking about who's available or who we actually want?
Oh, yes.
And so I never even would have thought of him. But yeah.
Christopher Nolan's Fast 10.
I don't know about all that.
Wouldn't be very fast.
No.
Yeah,
I'd actually go backwards if you saw Tenet.
Exactly. I'd probably be more likely to maybe go and watch it the third week of release if Christopher Nolan was directing it. I'm not that fussed by it, but I do think this is a solid choice based on availability and track record and things like that. So Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm just more really am now in a morbid sense of, car crash is what actually happened, and was it one thing or was it just a stream of things? Because pre-production, Justin Lin would have been involved quite a lot, and Vin Diesel would have been involved because he's a producer as well as the major star. To then pull out, what was it, 1 week into filming or 1 day, whatever, or 1 hour?
It's week one.
So there can't have been that one thing, because there must have been some stuff building up to that, all that pre-production story and all that stuff. There's more to this story, and I'd love to, in a morbid fascination, love to know what it was. And that, as far as my interest goes in this film now.
Yeah, and I think to your point, like the fact that they were a weekend, like he's done the script. Not only was it just this movie, it is he's done 5 of them, or this would have been number 5. So he's done almost half of these movies. And so what was it about this time where he's just like, fuck it, I'm out?
Yeah, like, I think gave up a lot of money too. It's unprecedented for a director to give up that much money.
Hey, mental health, I guess. He was like, I'm putting my foot down.
He's got to look after himself. And he's got a fantastic reputation. He's in the Conjuring franchises. It's Conjuring franchises?
Yeah.
Which one? Which horror franchise is he involved with? Is it
Conjuring? I think.
Yeah. Is it Justin
That's
Lin?
Juan.
Oh, that's Juan. I confuse him a lot too.
Yeah. So Juan did Fury 7.
That's it. As soon as I said it, I was like, hold on, that might be the different director of the Fast and Furious. I knew there was one. James Wan. That's it. Yeah. There you go. But yeah, I think look after himself. Yeah.
Didn't you do Star Trek Beyond?
Yeah, that's what we like, right?
Yeah. Because he had to include a motorcycle.
Every time I'm very excited about it, Jammer's like, well, it flopped. Like, fuck you. Anyway. But yeah, to Nick's point, this guy left anywhere between 10 and $20 million on the table. Just, I'm done. Like, that's, to a lot of people, that's just crazy. Right.
Yeah.
So either he just has a bunch of money, or he was just like, it's not worth it dealing. Can you imagine? Like, I can't deal with this person so much. I can deal with anybody for $20 million. Anybody.
Yeah.
Like 6 weeks, fine. Let's do it. That's how bad this was.
But you did say he's directed the other 4 of the other films. So I'm sure his bank is quite healthy enough. I'm sure he's got food on his table for his family and stuff. So maybe it wasn't such a big decision. And there is that potential now that he can go and do the next Star Trek film. Maybe Paramount were, knocking on the door a little bit. If you're ever not happy over there, if you're ever anything goes wrong,
we're making Star Trek 4.
We got this captain's chair right here.
We'll double it.
Got this captain's chair right here for you, baby. But some of the things that were coming out, and Nick, so you alluded to kind of like the idea that Diesel is the keeper of the franchise. Apparently, there is some bad behavior involved as well. Supposedly from sources, this is from a Yahoo Entertainment article, that he showed up to the set late. He doesn't know his lines. He's out of shape.
That's the Bruce Willis story that Kevin Smith tells too. It's like they spent an entire day and Bruce Willis didn't show up the entire day. Kevin Smith had to rewrite all the dialogue because they had no dialogue about how bad the villain was supposed to be. So he didn't seem badass at all. And Kevin Smith wrote all the dialogue and then like, hey, do you want to be in the shot?
Yeah. They so there's a source from the Daily News that is saying that no one is dissing Vin Diesel on the record, but everyone knows.
So right.
That's sad, super frustrating, but as someone who really enjoys this franchise, I hate that that's this is kind of the fate of it. So
the fate of
I do feel for that. We joke about that, or I joke about that I don't like it. But if you're a fan of something and something like this is happening, it must suck a little bit. I know I can't think of something off the top of my head for me, but yeah, it must suck for you. I do appreciate that. As much as I'm not a fan of it, you are a fan, and it must be hard to see this kind of slipping away. Do you think that it's soon enough and that they'll still get that release date? Because it's been, 2 weeks now? Will that affect the release date too much or not really? They've always got a nice window that they can play with.
Yeah, I don't think that this should impact it too much because like you said, pre-production, like I think it's enough time for him to get up to speed. But we'll see.
I do want to, since I brought up Nolan, I do want to bring up what the funniest joke I've seen recently on Twitter. It's a picture of Nolan just thinking, and like the word bubble is like, how can I blow up a real nuclear bomb without killing my crew? Because he's making the Oppenheimer movie and he hates special effects.
Interesting.
I just thought it was a hilarious like meme.
I just want to know if somebody's dead wife going to be in this, because that is his real thing. It's not just the lack of special effects. There's got to be a dead wife somewhere in there.
Oppenheimer's wife is blown to smithereens in an early experiment.
Because what we've got Memento, we've got Inception, we've got somebody's wife died in Prestige.
Batman's girlfriend dies, and
wife dies in Prestige. She got blown up real good.
Yeah, I don't think it's in Tenet. There's any dead. I think they're trying to rescue the woman who's the wife of the villain, but she makes it. He doesn't. Wife. She does.
Okay, so we'll say a lot.
Prestige, not definitely always. Though. Interstellar, she has a dead husband, Anne Hathaway, so he flips it on its head.
Wasn't Matthew McConaughey's wife dead?
Oh yeah, she was too.
Yeah.
It's like Disney killing off the moms back in the early animation days.
Chris Nolan, he has your shtick. He is sticking to it.
I'm afraid for his wife.
Hey.
At this point.
How do you tell somebody you want a divorce without telling them you want a divorce?
Well, I want to kill you.
All the horrific ways.
Kyle has something.
So funny story on that. I made a few little indie, no budget films with my buddy Brian, horror movies, and I kill Christine in each one of them. That was my thing. I don't want her dead for real, but that is a funny conversation, guys.
See, I don't think anyone's wife died in Dunkirk.
I don't think there are any women in Dunkirk.
My patients died during Dunkirk. Fuck that movie. Anyway. Civility died. Guys ready to move on?
Yes.
We had a couple of other stories. I don't know that they're particularly important. One of them was a story about Palpatine. If I had my wits about me, I would have tied it into the Obi-Wan story. There's the idea that Palpatine is going to return. I'm not in a good mental place to talk about that still. Do you guys, let me, I'll cue up the quote here. Let me do the thing. Let me do it properly. Ian McDermott said, there's a certain show coming soon, set right around the time I may have considered to be very active. Whether or not you will see my physical body, I cannot comment on, but you will certainly feel my presence.
Again, it could be
Obi-Wan.
It could be Obi-Wan. Probably Obi-Wan makes the most sense, but I mean, it's all his height.
Yeah, we'll see.
And people are saying it's doubtful. It's the Accolade show or whatever, because that would be before he's even born, I believe.
Accolade.
Yeah.
Alcolite. That's a low sugar alcoholic drink, I'm guessing.
Mm.
Maybe that's
Isn't that a battery additive? Alkaline?
No, that you're getting that mixed up. That's something you take when you got an upset stomach. That's Alka-Seltzer.
Alka-Seltzer.
Driving Kyle crazy.
I think this is most likely going to be like, I can't remember if it was Clone Wars or Rebels or something, but there'll be some sort of maybe a video scene of the Emperor talking,
or he'll just speak to all the
galaxy time travel
over Fortnite.
Yeah. I don't think it's anything more than his voice being heard in the background or on a TV screen or something.
I'm still waiting to see time travel properly.
Well, I was thinking about the other day. It's like I really want to see a Poe Mando show, but I'm like, wait, Poe would either be super young, only because I love Pedro Pascal and
Oscar
Isaac when they're together. Like I haven't seen the movie where they're together, but I just watched the Google one where it's Google filling in the blanks where it's like, does Pedro Pascal have the ripping it off, and just those two have so much fun together and I was thinking, I'm like, they would have to use time travel, but they did introduce time travel.
They did.
Time travel is a thing in the Star Wars universe. So
I feel like if we don't have some conversation about Ahsoka and time travel during that show, I'm gonna be like, that's super weird. How did you get here? How are you alive? How did you survive that fight? Well, time travel mirror. What?
That's a thing? Can you go forward in time and mess around with those sequels?
Man, I wish they could. Anyway.
Move on before Jonesy loses the will to live like Dunkirk.
Yeah. So you guys ready to have a conversation about Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange?
Yes.
Has he done a thing?
Huh?
Has he done a thing?
He made a movie. I mean, so Sam Raimi has stepped into the place of Scott Derrickson, who directed the very first Doctor Strange film. And after some creative differences, Sam Raimi jumped in, and this film is chock full of his pulpy Sam Raimi-ness. Currently, it sits at a 77% from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and an 89% from the audience. So we've got that good disparity again. So in this film, Dr. Stephen Strange casts a forbidden spell that opens a portal to the multiverse. However, a threat emerges that may be too big for his team to handle. Danny, would you like to give me your non-spoiler impressions of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
From the first viewing yesterday or from the second viewing today?
Ooh, they're different.
They are. I would say so. I'll tell you what, yeah.
Surprise me.
I could. Well, I'm not sure if it would surprise you. I found overall, so watching it twice now, I would say that this was a fun, entertaining, mad as a sack of spaniels movie that had areas that would frustrate me, but ultimately entertain me, but leave me feeling like I don't really care about this movie 10 minutes after I walked out. Okay. It was average for me, but while I was there, I was entertained enough. It was enjoyable. I had a good time, but it feels like a Marvel Cinematic Universe filler film to me at the moment.
Okay. Nick Dahl.
It was so Raimi. I loved it. It was like him bringing his Evil Dead skills and his Spider-Man skills, and the plot was not what I was expecting. Excuse me, I can't talk. But it was. I enjoyed it. It is kind of just like a running movie where they're running from or towards something.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I was really impressed with the Sam Raimi-ness of it. One of my favorite things Sam Raimi does that MCU can't even figure out, or DC can't figure out, is like, think of Infinity War. The minute a fight starts, the streets are empty. And Sam Raimi, even thinking back to Spider-Man 2, is really good at keeping it populated with like taxi cabs and real New Yorkers in the middle of a big fight that's happening, where it feels like
actual
a lot of the time.
New Yorkers.
No, are they? Did he shoot in New York? Probably no. I don't think. I saw all these different countries. I mean, it feels
you said
like
real New Yorkers.
Well, I mean, it feels like New York City. Like it feels like everyone just doesn't disappear when a fight starts. They're like gasping and running and like I always think, yeah, like I always think of Spider-Man 2, like when Doc Ock shows up and throws the car through the window and takes Mary Jane. People aren't like fleeing. They're just like, oh, what the fuck? And like I do like that I still haven't seen a Marvel or DC movie that does it as well as Sam Raimi does, as far as keeping the streets populated and feeling real, even when there's a giant monster.
Isn't there a whole scene in Avengers where Captain America is saving all those civilians? And then
but even that does, I don't know. There's something that feels more grounded in Sam Raimi's version of New York. It's kind of difficult and intangible to explain, but it's something I definitely notice his stuff versus a lot of the other stuff.
I shall not question your intangibility.
Right.
So for my spoiler-free impression, I'm sorry, go ahead. You're still going.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay. For my spoiler-free impressions, I thought it was so Sam Raimi that I didn't love it.
No.
I think that his pulpiness was a bit overwhelming and needed to be dialed back a little bit and got in the way of what I think was an otherwise well-acted and good movie. And I also thought that the pacing was off towards the end. Like there was like I got towards the end and I could, my watch was dying, so I couldn't look at it. Plus I try not to look at it in a movie theater, but I could feel myself wanting to look at the time to go like, we done yet? And I can actually pinpoint that moment when we get into spoilers, if that's what you guys would like to do. So,
I would just touching on that. I would like to see asking you that where you felt it went a little bit too much Sam Raimi, and whether that was around the same time that you felt that it lost its pacing towards the end. Was they around about the same time when you had that, or was the Sam Raimi thing generally all the way through the movie?
Let's do letter grades, jump into spoilers, and then I will tell you.
Gotcha. Yeah, because that's the bit I'm interested in.
So I thought it was a B. B movie director made a B film.
Yeah.
I think that's what Kyle gave it on our podcast. Oh, he gave it a B plus. I gave it an A. I liked it. I love Sam Raimi. Like it's not my top 5, maybe not even in my top 10 Marvel movies, but it was super enjoyable. And really none of it would let me down in a way where like, oh, I was expecting something completely different. I was just like, oh, it's exactly what I wanted.
I think that's the other part of this, right? It's hard to come off of No Way Home into like, I feel like it is almost impossible to walk into this movie and not feel some kind of way after that film, which was like up here.
Yeah.
At least for
I
me.
think No Way Home would be my top 5.
Yeah.
But
I love the fact that we can even say top 10 Marvel like MCU films. It's so crazy to me.
Yeah. I'm fascinated. What was No Way Home then letter grade if this was an A?
I think I give it an A originally. I would say A plus after reviewing it multiple times.
Do you think they're that close together? That's why I'm amazed that you gave it an A. So you think in quality and overall they're that close together? I don't.
Entertainment wise, they're that close together. Both have giant plot holes and like stuff like that. But
my neck hurts. I'm giving such a big east-west.
I don't think it's bad, but to be that close together with an A and an A plus when I think they're miles apart in general overall quality of the films.
I mean, what it sounds like is you just want Nick to be your teacher, right? Like whoever goes to school, where Nick is
whoever goes to Marvel University.
Yeah. Hey, like all I did was shit in the
like
corner.
Eternals or Captain Marvel or something. Incredible.
But you love Captain Marvel. What are you talking about? Don't try and redo history.
I love Captain Marvel. I prefer Captain Marvel.
That was our very first podcast, and I feel like that whole time it was me trying to bring you down from the sky. Of like, oh my god, it was so good. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Opinions change over time. I still like it, but that's definitely a bottom 10. Or 14,
Danny letter grade, so we can get into spoilers.
Yeah, I was hovering around. It's been hovering around a C plus to a B minus, and I'm stuck right there at the moment. So I'm going to go with, because I enjoyed it the second time for reasons that surprised me. And we'll talk about it when we get into spoilers. But I'm going to settle on a B minus at the moment.
Okay. So that said, we're going to jump into spoilers, and Danny, I will address the question that you asked me. I feel like
letter grade?
Yes, it was a B. Okay. No, I said B. B director did.
You're right.
The moment where I felt like it was too much Raimi was after she killed the Illuminati and she's chasing them through the halls, and she's like hobbling, and
zombie.
They're full on running, and she is still like hurt, somehow able to keep up with him. It was that plus the moment where they were
she could have also just flown too. I thought he was going for the zombie thing.
They're shutting all of the doors, and they get to the last door, and then they just stop and stare at the door. And I'm like,
the door shut, keep running.
What's happening here? Why are we sitting here in this moment? And then like the camera does a thing, and then the water starts moving slowly, and it's for a jump scare. And I'm just like, I didn't like it. Where I did enjoy stuff like that was when they were in Carmitage, and there was like, she was in the reflections.
Oh, that was cool.
That was super good. So one is like, yeah, that's Raimi stuff. But also it was really good, especially when she comes through the reflection in the gong. And she's all deformed and scarred.
Oh yeah,
and like heal herself. I'm like, that was cool. And I think at the point where the Illuminati gets killed, it got to be too much.
I like Zombie Strange.
I did not. I liked the idea. And so I think that that's where I feel like I would have preferred a different director for this movie, because his makeup was distracting. His mannerism was distracting. I love the idea. I thought that it was very clever. I also liked that it was a trailer head fake, because looking at I thought in theory, Wanda was going to be the villain for this film. And then when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, well, maybe it's going to be this zombie Doctor Strange, or like something happened. And they did a real good job of faking me out with that. And then it turned out to be something clever. But that it felt like so Army of Darkness that I did not enjoy it for what it was. I also think at the beginning, the CGI didn't look particularly good. Like, it looked cheap, which was weird. All of the stuff they were doing in the beginning with America Chavez running from the monster, and it just didn't look particularly good. On the plus side, Elizabeth Olsen was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And I can't say enough for her performance. And I would say in terms of motivations, this is easily like top 3 villain motivations for a character. I'm struggling to think who else other than Killmonger would be in that top 3. It was weird.
Good. He's just Vulture's just trying to provide for his family, even though they live in a fancy rich person's house.
I don't know about that. Like, that one for me, I wasn't on board with quite as much. I mean, I get it as a working schmo, but I never from that perspective felt like he was right. I could see where, for me, I agree. When I say that I like a villain's motivations, for me, it almost always means I understand the underlying premise of what you're doing, but your motivations are fucked up. Or not your motivation, your methodology is fucked up.
Yeah.
So what you're doing, your actions are bad. And so I really enjoyed watching her in this. It was a lot of fun. So
I actually didn't expect her to be that much of the villain. I thought she'd either be a tool to someone or like, I didn't, even when when the runes were even on the first monster, I was like, oh, it's another witch. It's not Wanda, based on the trailer. But yeah, I cried during that movie, obviously. Like when she's with the other Wanda, and the other Wanda kind of forgives her, and the kids are freaking out because obviously she can't just come in and be a mother to.
I don't think other Wanda forgave her. She just said they'll be cared for. That doesn't mean I forgive you. That means
but she didn't
here,
even try
have
to
this
fight
bit
her.
of peace and fuck off.
Yeah.
Now get out of my house.
Yeah. That's not forgiveness.
It was still, I don't know. It was sad to watch the Scarlet Witch or Wanda Prime go through that moment, and obviously would never work out the way she expects.
Let me ask you guys this: do you think she's dead?
No.
I think she is.
Think so? We'll never see her again.
No. I didn't say that. I think that version of Wanda is dead.
Oh, because we still.
I don't think, given what she did, it's almost like a Ben Solo thing. You can't redeem that. You can't have that character kill all those people at Carmitage and be like, all right, we need you for a thing. Like, that's a bridge
Doc
too far.
Ocked herself, which is
but her not being dead, Jonesy, doesn't mean that she's been forgiven.
No, I'm saying that I think I have a hard time envisioning how you bring that character back into the fold without. It's almost like a Fast and Furious type thing. It's a Han situation. Unless you pretend like those people at Carmitage didn't die, I can't not always look at you with my head like this. Cocked to the side
Illuminati.
Yeah, you killed the Illuminati. You killed all the people at Carmitage. You took over this woman's body. You terrorized her kids. You have to die unless you're constantly ostracized.
And I agree, totally 100% agree, which is why I think she's alive, because the way she died was very ambiguous. We went back to the Marvel trope of dropping heavy things from the sky.
Sure.
But it wasn't clear that she died. We had, I'm going to do this, and then the building collapsed. And yes, there was the red stuff and stuff. So,
yeah, that was really weird. It's like, oh no, by the way, red stuff.
Well, that meant to be blood splurting out outside. So
magical
I totally
blood.
agree, but it's because they didn't make a big thing of her dying that I think that she's alive, right or wrong. But I do think that she could come back, and that will be, we can't forgive you for all that shit. Exactly like you just said. Maybe it'll be an interesting thing that she's not welcome back into the fold, and she tries to do stuff that forgiveness, or maybe she comes back, but she comes back as Wanda, not as Scarlet Witch kind of stuff. I don't think that version is dead. I don't think.
You know what I think they're going to do? They're going to do a Girardi, where they're going to say the Darkhold corrupted your mind.
So all is forgiven. There you go. Yeah, you didn't mean to do it. All is
forgiven.
You know what surprised me about this was I was kind of expecting to see Vision at some point, and we never did.
Actually, wasn't for some reason. Even Kyle mentioned that on our podcast. Even if they couldn't get Paul Bettany, who was willing to do them all, we didn't even see a CGI from behind Vision.
Yeah,
or
nothing.
Anything. Didn't surprise me because we kind of went through that already, and we're waiting for White Vision, unless she met Vision. And actually, yeah, she could have met Vision in a different. She was more obsessed with her kids than her husband when she was going to other dimensions where he could have been alive.
Yeah, it seems very strange that she was very accepting of the fact that he was dead. It's like, where are those kids? I need my babies.
And as far as the death, Raimi made it very obvious in Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 1, showed the Doc Ock floating into the water and stuff collapsing onto him.
And yet here he is.
And this is far more ambiguous. So I'm wondering if that's why. Oh yeah, and then he comes back, but they come back from the dead. Literally.
I have another question for you guys. Do you all think that oh shit, it just jumped out of my head.
I have a question too, unless you're about to say the question I was thinking.
Wait, hold on. It's almost there. Wanda, Vision. Damn it, it's gone. Ask your question.
Okay.
Where's my pen?
Do you guys think, or I assume we haven't heard anything about this in the media yet, because I don't think Feige and Raimi are talking about it yet. Do you think John Krasinski will be our official?
He has to be. You can't go back. So I was talking to my friend Andrew about this last night. You can't go backwards. You said disappointing?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his.
Fuck you, you're weird. Here's the thing.
He was good in this.
You can't have multiple universes and have Doctor Strange be Doctor Strange in all those universes. You cannot have
they keep the
Wanda
actor
be
consistent.
Wanda. You can't they are very no. It is this person every time. And
except for Professor X. We obviously will be getting a new Professor X.
No, I think that's
otherwise I completely agree.
Thing.
They even got Anson Mount back.
Yeah.
Because he was in two Strange projects came out on the same day.
I think Patrick Stewart is the outlier. Everybody else is consistent in terms of it is the same actor for the same character. Now, you're right. When it comes to the X-Men, a pre-existing universe, they're going to have to do something different. But as it pertains to the MCU, it's been relatively consistent. Kyle, you got a thing?
There's 3 different Peter Parkers in the MCU technically, Jonesy. Variants can be very, very different.
No. But here's the difference. The difference is I think that was a fan thing, and that is a Fox thing. As it comes to how the MCU has done it, organic to the MCU, it's all been the same. So you're right. It does give them the option to do something else. But I also think that Krasinski would not do this. Or at least Marvel wouldn't do this unless they were like, hey, I know you wanted to be Captain America, but I'm not saying you should be Captain America. I'm saying here's a consolation prize. You get to be one of the most smartest men in the universe.
I was shocked when he showed up. I thought that was going to be the Professor X reveal. And I'm like, whoa, they actually went with Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And Black Bolt too. I was like, whoa, they brought back Anson Mount to play Black Bolt. We'll probably never see him again, but yeah. Oh, all those deaths. His was the most brutal. And of course, Sam Raimi.
Wait, whose was?
Black Bolt.
Oh, yeah.
He was trying to talk and his head exploded out of his ear or something.
Yeah.
And then he didn't show it like he does in Spider-Man, but he got his chance to cut a character in half with their own weapon with Captain Carter.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody? So it was interesting to me. Tell me what the reaction was in you all's theaters. I got claps for Krasinski and Captain Carter and Professor X. Did you all get the same?
Not claps, there was or excitement the same way as the other Peter Parker showing up, but people were like, oh, but it wasn't like there wasn't applause like when Daredevil showed up or Peter Parker, different Parkers. But it was still like the audience was like shocked. I avoided most spoilers, so I knew about Captain Carter and the not X-Men 97 chair, which they also that was the theme they used, not the Fox theme when he appeared. But Reed Richards, Black Bolt, like especially Reed Richards the most. I was like, holy shit, they already cast one and they somehow kept it from us.
Yeah.
And then the Captain Marvel thing was really cool. Just switching out Maria Rambeau for Carol Danvers. It's a smart choice.
Yeah. So there was a quote that I was looking for just now. Sorry if I was a little distracted. I think this is kind of interesting, and I've previously heard this, and tell me if you guys remember this. And this relates to the question I couldn't remember before. Do you guys remember a while ago, a couple of years ago, when Kevin Feige said you don't have to watch the shows to understand the movies? Like they're just going to kind of be their own thing. There's a quote from February of last year where he said, Marvel fans don't need to watch WandaVision to understand the movies.
I think you could glean enough from it because my sister and my parents will never finish WandaVision. But I also find it interesting. I
strongly disagree.
Where like they had the list where it's like, here are the movies you should see: Doctor Strange, WandaVision, What If, and Spider-Man. Where it's like, what if? You don't need to see that. There's just a variant where she's Captain Carter and not Captain America. And in fact, it almost misleads you because the Doctor Strange from that wasn't the Doctor Strange we saw in the trailer, where we thought that that would be the evil Strange. He was more he was corrupted, but he was just like, he also lost his universe and he was kind of a coward. I love though the music fighting scene.
So I feel like part of my rationale so there are two things. Part of my rationale for thinking that her motivations were so good was because seeing her with those kids in the show solidified my understanding of like, okay, this is why she wants and needs that so badly. I don't think that you can, and I know this for a fact, somebody I went to see this with that did not see all of WandaVision was like, I don't get it. I don't understand why she's so desperate to see these kids. And another person who didn't watch all of it also said you could get the impression that in the dreams, she was only there for the good moment, the dreams in the show. I'm sorry, in the movie. She was only there for the good moments, and then faced with the reality of what they were like, where they're like kind of not whiny, but where they were panicking and upset, that she was like, shut up. And she wouldn't know how to be a good mother. And I feel like the show really helps you understand all of that much better. I don't think that you can watch this movie and fully understand her character, understand those moments.
Yeah, you wouldn't fully get her motivation as strong as it is. Otherwise, you just think, really, she's doing all this shit just for a couple of kids she's never even met.
Right.
No, if you watch WandaVision, you know how strong that bond is and how much she's connected to him, how important it was. And then that means that we go into this film knowing exactly how strong those motivations are. And that means that you can understand that drive. And then on top of that makes Elizabeth Olsen's performance so much that much better. Wonderful stuff on that. That first scene, in fact, it was before that scene where the kids were going slightly mad, is when they were about to sing the ice cream song. And she was like, why don't you just both fucking tell me what the song is you're trying to say? And that was 10 seconds after she had inherited the body, so to speak, when she jumped, right? She didn't even know how to understand that they were arguing, and they weren't even arguing bitterly. They were just
not really,
And she already almost lost her fucking temper. You could tell she had to bite her tongue and choose her words. And that was wonderful stuff from her there. That was like, shit, she doesn't actually know how to deal with kids, and she's going to go and take them. Holy shit. But you definitely, I think, to fully appreciate how good that part of this story was, you needed to watch WandaVision at 100%. You could glean the story, but like those two people you mentioned, Jones, they'd be like, well, I get it. Yeah, okay, she wants these two kids, but I don't understand why it's so important.
Yeah.
And you watch WandaVision, you get much more of an understanding of that. So
Especially, I love that cue from Danny Elfman, where it's like do 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 do. Only it's like the early, like the black and white version of it, the theme. Where it's just like, I don't know what instrument that is. But.
Do you guys have anything to say about the main film? I'd like to transition into tag scenes.
I think we've covered.
Yeah, well, I was going to say two scenes that have come up with the people that I've watched it with, and I know Nick, you just said you really liked it. It was the musical fight scene. I can't.
Yeah.
As soon as here's the thing: the first time I watched it, it kind of annoyed me a little bit. I'm like, why am I watching Fantasia now? This is fucking silly. Why did he choose to take the notes from a piece of paper to turn into ninja throwing stars? Why not just turn the pieces of paper into throw the books, throw any other shit that was lying around? I didn't quite really, it took me out of it. The second time I enjoyed it more because it was a fun musical set piece kind of thing. So that's why I was flip-flopping about how much I liked about the film. But the person I saw it with today, she said that it took her out of the rest of the film. She found that so more bizarre than the and so anything that happened after that, she's just saying it kept getting weirder and weirder, and then I just couldn't follow it anymore. And like you, Jones, she was then looking at her watch, wanting it to be kind of over, because the pacing did change around about that same time. And that
was my moment when he got to that second sanctum.
There you go. Whether or not whether they tied into when you started to feel it was dragging and when you felt it was too Sam Raimi, but what quite
the thing was though. It wasn't that I liked that scene, but it was when we got to the second sanctum where I'm like, come on. But I really did enjoy that fight scene.
Well, I enjoyed it the second time. And it's actually interesting now because all the Salvador Dali references now about where he was getting his ideas from, Sam Raimi's getting his ideas from. And I like that because that's interesting. It was my brother's girlfriend that was talking about it. So she saw this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, I get all that. That's really clever and good. But at no point did we get the impression that this universe was the Salvador Dali universe. At no point was that evident. This was where that crash would happen. This universe was being destroyed when we got there. So I like Sam Raimi may have used his influence with how it looked and the floating door and the musical notes, but I wasn't aware we were in the Salvador Dali universe. So I couldn't get on board with that context of it.
I felt that a lot more when they were flying through universes, like at a rapid pace, which was actually really awesome. That
was a fun scene.
Like the animated universe.
Yeah.
It was like, this is fun.
So I that's where I'm torn, but that's why watching it the second time so close together, I was enjoying things more that I didn't enjoy so much the first time. And other things were annoying me a little bit, like the corridor chase scene. She's hobbling, they're running, they stop, and he goes, what have you done? I've just bought us more time. You had loads of fucking time when the door shut. Yeah. You could have gone through, opened the sanctum, got the book, but you chose to watch the water droplets go slowly. But the first time, it was always a shock moment. They're being chased. There's going to be a jump scare. So I flip-flop between what I enjoyed and what frustrated me. And that was just two separate viewings within 24 hours of each other, which is one of the reasons why I kind of like the movie, because I'm fucking, this is just fun. Nonsense bullshit for a lot of it, but a lot of fun. So, yeah, you can go.
Okay.
Let's talk tags.
Let's talk tags. So I think the second one we can kind of dispense with relatively quickly. So we get Sam Raimi's good buddy Ash, Bruce Campbell, in the second tag scene, who had been bewitched to beat the shit out of himself for weeks. With his hand.
Another
for weeks.
Movie.
Like a possessed hand.
Where he clearly stayed by his hot dog stand for 3 weeks. Didn't go home at all or anything.
He still has to work. He went home punching himself.
Yeah, you don't know.
He's still need to make money.
Don't presume his time zone.
Oh, this is true. Different universe, his stomach might not work.
Yeah, you don't know. Several weeks in that universe might be 2 minutes tops. So or however long the rest of that movie was. I liked the idea of the possessed hand, Nick, like you alluded to from Sam Raimi films, Evil Dead. It's funny. It was cute. Movie's over. It's over.
I like looking at the screen. Then you have the Sam Raimi like look at the screen where it's like, it's over. Yeah. People cheered at that part because they just love Bruce Campbell.
Was that just a quick one? Was that Sam Raimi's car floating when they went to the world? That was it that famous car?
Oh, you mean Ash's car?
I don't know.
Ash's car, yeah, because they made a point of that floating car when in the worlds that were clashed together.
I missed it.
Well, it
I
was.
saw a car,
it was.
but I didn't.
It was a car, and I think it's that one, the famous one that's in all of his films or the Ash films, and it was floating there for quite a while. It wasn't just like the taxi in the background that just went, but it was front and center screen, and it was behind Doctor Strange and
I thought it was.
What's his name? I think it was, but you guys are not quite so sure. I think it was. Whatever Ford.
It would make sense.
Muscle car, what it was.
Um.
Anyway, random thought. Sorry, Jonesy. As you were, soldier.
No, that's it. I'm having random thoughts about random tag scenes.
The end confused the shit out of me, but Kyle helped me understand it. It's the way it.
Which one? The one with Charlize Theron?
No, that too, but even just the other end, where it's like he just collapses on the ground and has the eye.
Yeah, well, I got that, but then the next tag scene, he seemed to be okay with it, which made the previous end of the film scene not quite as powerful, because clearly he had a real big breakdown in the street, and then it's not a problem anymore. So what did we miss?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You just said Kyle explained it to you.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I mean, not the in between part. The part he has the eye because they used the Darkhold once. At first, I was like, "Is it a different Strange?" As I was asking Kyle last night, he's like, "No, he's used it."
So that's the thing that was confusing to me. I thought, so if this is the Doctor Strange from What If, I didn't think it was using the Darkhold that gave him. I don't think
it was the Doctor Strange from
I think it's our Doctor Strange. This is 616 Doctor Strange, right?
No.
No, the last Doctor Strange. That was not the one from What If.
It's a different one.
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't have any monster parts that he throws out. He's not in a little jewel.
That's necessarily anything.
It was just, and he was not nicer, but he was kind of like almost more timid and like.
I find that to be
by losing the universe
confusing. That they would key you up with a Doctor Strange that is very similar, but I guess not.
Multiverses, man.
Yeah, but
similar. Some of them are different.
Sure, but having it so close in proximity to What If, where they're almost indistinguishable,
Things got a little out of hand.
Okay.
Well,
so
now I'm confused now because I thought it was fairly simple. He used the Darkhold book, and now that's given him this third eye, whatever that actually means.
I think that is the implication
that we've met years ago.
So I guess my question is then, why didn't Wanda get a third eye? She just got black fingers.
Maybe she did have a third eye, but she didn't open it. She had a lazy eye.
Her fingers were similar to Agatha, who remember there's a bit of difference between witches and sorcerers, so different people affected differently.
Didn't her fingers turn a little black in WandaVision at certain parts? Even Wanda. So
yeah.
So at the end of the movie, he collapses in the street and he has the third eye. So that's that third eye appearing or whatever it is.
Sure.
And then the credits roll for a little bit, and then he's in the scene again, but he seems to be absolutely fine with everything. So how much?
It seems like time has passed. I think he's wearing different
but how much
clothes.
time do you think has passed? I know he's wearing different outfits. So is he got used to it?
I don't want to presume his time zone.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it could be a day, it could be weeks, but it's long enough where he is acclimated to having a third eye and feels okay whipping it out in front of Charlize Theron. So like, I don't know. How long does it take you to feel comfortable with your third eye?
And in my ignorance now, can someone tell me who Charlize Theron's character is?
So that was the other part. So she is Clea. She is Clea. She is the niece of Dormammu. She is a denizen of the Dark Dimension where Dormammu is from. And in the comic books, I think right now she is the Sorceress Supreme. And so
she's the niece of Dormammu.
Yes. I don't know how that works. Don't ask. I have no idea.
I
have no idea how a giant floating head has a brother and what his brother has to look like to. No.
Well, spaceship like flies into a black hole. Spaceship flying into a black hole.
It's like Thanos and his brother. Thanos in the comics.
That's not the same thing. Giant floating head is not the same thing as like she is appearing fully human versus you could say like, okay, Thanos has the deviant gene versus Harry Styles, who was Harry Styles.
Or even like, how does Planet impregnate a woman?
You saw that.
For those of you not watching on YouTube right now, producer Kyle is giving us a sex education demonstration using something and a large grey fish or something. This is how Dormammu has a niece.
It was strange. I thought it was strange.
The comics, I like that they're sticking to the comics and not like
I don't. So,
She's
and
just
here's
a
the reason
character.
why. Here's what bothers me about that. It bothers me in the same way that the Eternals post-credits scene does, because it doesn't mean anything. And we've talked about the show, and I've complained about this a little bit on the show. Like, I have no idea where the fuck we're going. There's a part of me that thought, like, okay, we're headed towards Kang. Maybe that's not true. Okay, are we headed towards Secret Wars because we're getting all this multiverse stuff? I don't know, possibly. It is frustrating as a viewer. I don't have to know everything, but it is nice to know where the buildup is going so I could at least anticipate and be kind of excited for it. With the earlier phases of the MCU, we're like, all right, I know that we're moving towards Thanos, and I could be excited about that because that was going to be fun. Here, it's kind of all over the place, and Harry Styles and Charlize Theron don't do anything to move the needle for me in terms of excitement of what's coming next. And I feel like by this time in the previous phases of the MCU, in the Book of Thanos, in the Infinity War saga, we had a pretty good idea of where we were going. And that helps facilitate and generate excitement. I'm not excited about where we are now, especially because even in this film, like, it's a B. Shang-Chi, like, it's okay. Eternals, it's not good. Like, we've gotten such ho-hum content on one side. On the other side, we've got Nowhere Home, which again doesn't really lend itself towards the greater, like, where the fuck is the story going.
So it's another film on its own. Great film on its own.
Yeah, it's a great film on its own, and I'm okay with that. It would be nice to know where we're going, especially because the content that we're getting isn't great.
Kyle and I talked about this a little bit too. It's just I kind of like it that we're not like that. We're like, we seem to have different storylines going rather than like we're all building up to Thanos. It's like we have the cosmic side, we have the Gamma shows, we have the like Ironheart and like the tech shows / movies, and then we have like the multiverse going on, because I assume we'll get more multiverse in Ant-Man and the Wasp, considering the quantum realm is its own universe, and we know that Kang is like the first person in the future who kind of experienced universes colliding.
Here's another way of saying it. When you market Shang-Chi to me as your new favorite Avenger, that tells me that you're building towards something, because as far as I know, there are no Avengers right now, right? Who have you got that's in their Avengers roster? And if you tell me that, and if you market it that way, then it sounds like you're building towards something. And that something to me is what?
Kyle, I also discussed, he says, and I agree, it'll be at least 5 years until we get a proper Avengers film again.
That's fine.
Normal roster. Yeah, I'm fine with that too. It's just, I mean, you have Captain America, Captain
What's
Marvel.
the threat?
Kang. I assume Kang's going to be the Avengers level threat.
Why?
I assume because he's one of the most powerful people we've seen recently.
You've seen him once. You haven't seen him.
I know, but then he's
else.
the main villain in Ant-Man, because that's the first person to fuck with time was Scott Lang. So it makes sense that would be the first Avenger he'd go after. I'm sure we'll get more of him in Loki too.
I'm Sleepy Town.
I almost expected him to be on the Illuminati when they were slowly revealing each of them. I'm like, Kang could be there, but he wasn't.
I thought what would have been fun for me is, since you got Reed Richards, if they did like a Council of Kangs, which they already alluded to. Like, that is the tag scene I would have wanted, not this Dormammu's niece type thing. That's just me. Maybe I'm being greedy. Maybe
that
I'm
would confuse people even more, I think, though, because a lot of people haven't seen Loki.
Not if it's Jonathan Majors, right? Because you're saying it would confuse people more. At least there's a reference point that has already occurred in the MCU versus like, why the fuck is Charlize Theron in this? Why is, like, who is that?
It felt like the end of Super Mario Brothers, the movie, where it's like, we gotta go fix the multiverse. Come with me.
And the
it's
language was so generic. Like, there's another you cause an incursion. We gotta go fix it. Let's go to the dark dimension. And
she didn't say like Super Mario Brothers.
It's like, okay,
we got more.
It's just
trouble.
Like Eternals. Like, hey, there's a problem. We gotta go fix it. Like, all right, I guess. Sure. Anyway, that's just me. At this point, I'm just complaining and spinning my wheels. But
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I agree with you, Jonesy. I'm much more excited about other stuff at the moment, and I'm kind of a little bit upset that I'm excited about other stuff rather than Marvel stuff. I'm excited about Top Gun Maverick, for example, coming out very soon.
That's Tom Cruise, of course. We're all excited.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That trailer actually got the best reaction out of all the trailers they showed, even Lightyear and Thor in my theater. People were excited. I guess, like I said, I was with an older crowd. Alamo, you generally don't see a lot of kids there at all. That's weird. It's really weird. Like when it's Rise of Skywalker, there was like no one there younger than 20. But yeah, I don't know.
Did they all have heart attacks as they walked out?
I guess not that much older of a crowd necessarily, but yeah, the audience went crazy for the Top Gun trailer.
Yeah, interesting.
So good.
Do you guys have anything else to say about this? I would like to talk a couple seconds about another thing, and then we can shove on.
Moving on.
I think for me, like, I'm really enjoying the premiere of Strange New Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that I think it tells me that I really enjoy episodic Trek more than the serialized storytelling that they've been doing with Discovery and Picard. Like, give me like one story, give me a new planet, give me a thing. I like Discovery, but this was, I hesitate to say better because it's only one fucking episode. But I like the format. I like the format better. I like the tone better. I like that they focus more on the crew, that like the bridge crew, because for me, what's hard about Discovery is I feel like we don't know as much about the bridge crew aside from Burnham and Saru.
We know more about like Stamets and Wilson Cruz's character,
and what's hard about that is like when a crisis happens on the ship, we're on the bridge. And so in Strange New Worlds on the Enterprise, we're like, okay, here's the crew. These are the people that you're going to spend time with. And when a crisis happens, you're on the bridge and you're spending time with these characters. And it's harder to connect with aspects of Discovery because of that. Whereas this, just within the first episode, they did a really good job of establishing a very strong voice and perspective and point of view. I'm excited for what's happening next.
And they even gave us the exact time period. He says, I die in 10 years.
I don't care about that.
Well, that means we're 10 years.
Because they're going to fuck it up anyway. My expectation is like
I like the fake out with like he requested Lieutenant Kirk. That's just a completely different guy with the last name Kirk at the end of the episode. I was like, oh, thank God. I mean, we know we're getting Kirk next season, but I was like, that's quick. So it was a fun joke when they're like, oh, that's Lieutenant Kirk. That's obviously not.
It's a common name.
Yeah.
So when is this one set then?
So this is set after it is current. Well, I was going to say current with Discovery, but it takes place just like 6 months after
season 2, I think.
Yeah.
And then 10 years before
Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's 10 years until Kirk takes over the Enterprise. So they're giving themselves room for 10 seasons. You know,
so it's 10 years. 10 years before the original
Menagerie.
Series.
Yeah, 10 years before Menagerie, where, you know, he's seeing, that's, I think, the most interesting through line that we'll see in this is the trauma that is caused, because he keeps looking in reflections and seeing his, like, burned face and all that. And he knows it's
Which
coming.
I think is great. Like,
yeah, I love it.
As a motivation, I like it. So, Nick, do you think that he'll be able to avert his fate?
No. I still believe we're in the actual timeline. And they'll somehow make it work, even with
Kirk so
fast.
What timeline?
The original timeline.
Kelvin timeline, original timeline,
which even Picard and Discovery.
Well, William Shatner Kirk, or
we're getting a new Kirk actor, but I assume that's going to be before Shatner takes over before Kirk takes over the Enterprise.
All right, fucking hell. Okay,
because that's when he takes over, is after Pike's accident.
And I have read things like, and Danny, I've talked to you about this, like some of the inconsistencies that we're seeing in Discovery and Picard are because of the temporal wars that happen on Enterprise, which I never watched. So I'm slightly confused about it. And I am less concerned about adhering to like specific dates and specific timelines. I am kind of bothered by some of the stuff they did at the end of Picard.
Sorry. I just want to carry on your thought, but Guinan. Talk to you about Guinan.
Same answer about the temporal wars. I think that's probably the answer to your question. But one of the other things that they did was it seems like Soong is going to be responsible for Khan. And I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah. Why do we have to do that? I saw that as well. But the Guinan thing, I'm sorry, I had to pull it. So are they saying then that she was pretending that she didn't know anything about Picard when he first walked into the bar in season 2, episode 2, whatever it was?
Which time? Which Guinan? Old or young Guinan?
Young Guinan, because when we saw old Guinan, I was getting the impression he was saying, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to pretend I didn't know you or anything, but I had to guide you around the right path."
That's what it seemed like.
There's no way she was acting that, was there? Because now I'll go back if I was ever going to go back and watch the episode. That was really good. No, I don't think you did know that, Picard. I think you genuinely did not know, and that was a happy tagline to put in episode 10 to have Whoopi Goldberg say, "I fooled you. I did a good job of pretending I didn't know who you were." Fuck off.
But it would be super weird because it's all written within the same season, right? So it's not like we're like going back years and trying to retcon something like that. Would be a weird inconsistency within the same season.
Before. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was a bit, So sorry, Nick, you can put your headphones back on. You can put your headphones back on now, Nick.
I wish I had watched it yesterday. I just didn't have time.
Sorry, buddy.
The hearing and Doctor Strange and the podcast.
Yeah. So I don't know. Those are my complaints. As disappointed as I was with Star Trek Picard, I was immediately pulled back in with Strange New Worlds. And I'm hoping that the quality that I saw is consistent throughout. Because like they did such a good job with all of these characterizations.
And the music.
Enough
callbacks to like
ship looks gorgeous.
And it doesn't look like it's changed too much. Like it still has those swirling, just red. And they fixed the bridge, so it looks more like it's good.
Okay.
And it's very standalone, except for Pike. Part of his motivation is worrying about his death. That's why he's like off in the cabin in the trailer with the giant beard, not answering. They use the communicators more like phones, and this is kind of funny. I mean, they are phones, but like it's not just like you flip it open and you're talking to your ship. It's like someone could be calling from anywhere on the planet and just calling Pike, and he's like ignoring the phone and sleeping with a Starfleet officer who looks quite a bit younger than him.
Why? I mean, I don't know.
I guess he's just.
That seems like a. I would not presume anything about any of that.
No, I don't think it's that. I mean, people do it all the time in real life. It's just. I mean, Kirk likes green women, so people have their preferences.
I mean, I think it would be weird if he was sleeping with the lieutenant. So you're making a presumption about her age based on how she looks, but they are of the same rank, and that in the military is more important.
That's right, because she was getting back to her ship because she's captain.
That's right.
She was shipping out before him.
So don't be ageist, baby. It's brand new Federation. Anything else for this episode of Breaking Geek Radio Le Podcast?
I'm good. I've said my piece about
you give me a thumbs up, that makes me think yes.
No, a thumbs up is in. We good. Good show. Cut the check. Wrap her up. Wrap her up. Wrap her up.
Wrap it up, baby. All right. So, dear listener, if you like what you heard, do all the socials, like, rate, comment, subscribe, share. We would definitely appreciate it. Also, LRM Online has other great products for you. We're else on LRM Online, and check out the other podcasts on the GenreVerse podcast network, which you are a part of. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty great. If you would like to have a conversation with us about this or any of the other topics you heard on today's show, join us on Discord. We'll have links for those in the show description for you to click on and hang out with us. But other than that, Nick, where can you be found?
I'm at Geeky Nick Doll on Twitter, and we're doing Marvel Multiverse Mayhem, Kyle and I, though now we have to find something to do until Miss Marvel and then Thor. So.
And Danny, where can you be found?
I'll be found on my motorcycle.
And guitar.
You ever play the guitar while riding the motorcycle?
Don't be ridiculous.
That would be a Mission Impossible moment for me.
Speaking of Mission Impossible.
Got to mention it every show.
No, you
And you
missed
can
the
find
segue.
me
Oh,
tweeting and Instagramming at Sir Jonesy. Now I can get back online. I had to cut off my social media because I didn't want to be spoiled.
I
But
quit
I'm back,
Twitter
baby.
for a week.
I'm back. You can find me at Sir Jonesy on both of those social networks, and of course, right here on Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast. Thanks, Kyle, on the ones and twos producing this show. But other than that, folks, you can catch us on the next one. Hasta lasagna.
Don't get any on ya.
Mission accomplished.
Good show.
Jammer can't fuck it up this week. Birthday boy. Happy birthday, Jammer.
Happy birthday, Jammer. That's good. Yes,